Greetings, citizens. We had a really great week. They covered a lot of details about how planets work, how they break down sections for all the objects. We're going to cover that, how I feel that works with network coding, and a few other things. Alright, let's get to it. Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another week of BlastCast. Once again, with me is my Bastion of Common Sense Lightning Dragon. And this week was a little bit busier as far as information goes. I'd like to start off talking about Bug Smashers. It was a really short one this week, only like 4.5, 5 minutes. But what they showed us was the vaulting over obstacles animations they're trying to build, and this odd situation where it would leap over an obstacle and end up being on top of the building. But it was kind of, to me, kind of a look, and you can kind of see from this, in my opinion, why we don't have 2.6 yet to a degree, because there's still this polish that has to be done on certain movement and things like that, and not worried about it. As I said, this is important, I think, with Star Marine to get this right when it comes out. They lost a lot of ground on getting it out when they actually outsourced it to Ilphonic, and I feel that as good as Sonic Boom was, I think Lightning would agree that was probably one of the greatest games ever.
Yeah, just go watch Game Room's playthrough on it.
Yeah. I think it's a lesson learned not to trust Ilphonic with important projects. It seems like they're kind of a studio that would probably be best doing indie games. So yeah, give that a watch if you haven't. Bug Smashers was pretty cool, straight to the point. I like those, and just kind of gives you. When I saw them move, it reminded me a little bit from the third-person perspective of Gears of War. If any of you've ever played that, the way that they would just leap right over any of the obstacles, the whole game was a pile of obstacles. But basically, yeah. So yeah, pretty cool.
Cover-based shooters, they dominate everything forever.
True. Well, this is going to be a little bit different. I think this is going to be cover-based, but from first person, I think that changes things.
It's just after I was going to say Call of Duty. After Gears of War, every shooter was a cover-based shooter.
Well, everyone's got to ride the wave of whether it's popular. That's kind of how this works. Look at what happened when Star Citizen got crowdfunded. You ended up with like 1 billion space games start coming out.
Yeah.
So also they brought up the idea of the differences in the male and female character model, and what that means for combat. And Lightning and I have discussed this a little bit. Now, what they talked about doing, and I'm not in complete agreement with this, was shrinking the male hitbox slightly and increasing the female hitbox slightly in order to come out with the same average. To me, that seems like, I don't know, I don't really like that approach. I don't want to have to shoot an inch into someone's leg before it counts, and I don't want to be shooting outside of somebody's leg, I don't know, on a female character before, and then get a hit. It doesn't feel natural. So what we were talking about was, why don't they do something like, maybe, for example, the female character has a little less endurance in running, and the male's bigger but more mobile, like in a sense of think of the difference between men and women as far as it's like in the military, for example, they run the tests on the mile, and the men can typically run it faster, so you would factor that in, and you keep the hitboxes.
I remember that when I was in school.
Yeah, you just keep it the same. You just set the endurance a little bit different. It's like, hey, you're a little harder to hit, but you also have a little less endurance. You're balancing for differences. It's really no different than, say, if you played Street Fighter and you play, you got E Honda versus Ryu. They do different moves, but they're balanced. And so that's what you need to do, I think, is just balance for differences. I don't think you need to play around with the hitboxes. I think then it gets a little wonky, a little weird.
Yeah, because if you start messing around with hitboxes, you're no longer comparing the same thing anymore. Like, if you shoot, if you visually see, a laser, because it might have a slower projectile, fly through someone's shoulder, and you don't hear any impact sounds or anything like that, you're gonna be like, what the fuck? And and on top of that, you're talking, you have to get through latency. I've been recording today, so I'm all derpy. The latency factor, you have to factor that in. So if you would have hit a shot on like a male character, and then you factor in the latency, and because his hitbox is now smaller, then instead of being a glancing blow before with the smaller hitbox, it's actually just a flat out miss now.
Yeah. And I think, that's what caused a lot of aggravation for players, seeing that they clearly hit the model, but the hitbox didn't count it. And I think that will cause way more aggravation than it's worth. I think they should just come up with some sort of simpler little difference in how they handle.
I mean, it took me like 30 seconds to think of having sprint mechanic difference, so men can have more sprint, so they can be more aggressive. They can get into a firefight easier, but they're a bigger hitbox, right? So, or you can get away from it, but you're still a bigger hitbox. Where with the female characters, if you're that smaller hitbox, you might not be able to get in and out of a battle as easy, but you're a harder target to hit. And I think that seems like a pretty fair and balanced comparison or equilibrium or something.
Yeah, and let us know down below if you think that's appropriate, or you think there's something else that comes to your mind that could be used as a balancing factor, other than basically playing with invisible hitboxes, because I really think that's the worst possible way to approach that. Also, there's been a lot of discussion on the forums, and it's just all rumor, it's all speculation. So once again, this is nothing even remotely close to other than that. Once again, grain of salt kind of thing.
Big pile of it.
I'm not animating that again. That took forever.
I didn't say to animate. I just said big pile.
Okay. So the thing is that there's some people believing that it's possible that 2.6 isn't going to happen. That they're just going to basically merge 2.6 and into 3.0 and just make it one big release. And while I don't have any knowledge of the situation, personally speaking, I could see that as a possibility, just because of the fact that I feel that I'd rather have them take the time to get Star Marine right than rush out the door. Also, as well, the Star Marine side and the Planet side, they're not the same studio. They're working on those things right now, independent of one another. And so is the networking, the network code. So you've got these three different areas working on something, and if it takes longer to get the Star Marine done, and it pushes it into the network coding and the planets, and it's like, wow, why would you release, say, 2.6 and then like a week later or almost instantly start testing 3.0? To me, it seems like that would just be a bit unwieldy. You might as well just go ahead and push on through, in my personal opinion. I mean, what do you think, Lightning?
I still think it's going to be a separate release, because in Around the Verse they were talking about the 2.5 testing that's going on with the avocados, but they also talked about, well, he kind of strings his thoughts together. He also talks about how they're still adding onto 2.6 and all the variations in there. And when you go and look at the presentation that they said what's going to be in 3.0, there's a lot of stuff that's going to be in there. So I think there's still quite a ways off, and Planet Tech, while it's looking amazing, is not ready yet. There's a lot of things that there's assets that are missing. There's different terrain that they have to generate, or as far as like planet goes, and there's also all the trading, right? We have to figure out how to lock cargo down without it moving in transit, and they have to have all the physical models of those that set up missions for these. I mean, there's still a lot of stuff involved with 3.0. So is 2.6 going to be a very small test period? Are we going to get a month or two, maybe 3 months at the most with it? Maybe. It just kind of depends on how fast they are. I mean, they're building tools as they need them. So as those tools get created, everything's going to get faster and faster to a certain degree. I mean, there's a lot of people working and they're hiring more people, but I still think that 3.0 is going to be, a month to two, maybe even 3 off from the 2.6.
Well, most of the release dates between patches, but about 67 days between iterations. So we're actually fairly close on that 67-day time period from 2.5 to expect to see something like 2.6. So if they follow the typical pattern, I could see them wanting to have 2.6 out by the 18th for the anniversary sale of the Kickstarter being funded. So I could see them doing that at the same time. They also said they wanted to have 3.0 out by the end of the year. Once again, grain of salt on that one. But
Yeah, I mean, if it's the end of the year, it'll be like,
December 31st.
Yeah, December 31st. Hey, December
Midnight.
31st.
11:59 p.m.
Happy New Year. Here's version 3.0.
Exactly. Yeah, I'd be like right taking it down to the wire. So, the planets themselves, they had a lot of good information about it. I think everything on the planets that they showed this week was very enlightening. It was, to me, just really delved into it a little bit. And I like how they started off showing the planet rotations, proving that, hey, look, our planets rotate. We're going to take a stationary object that doesn't rotate with the planet. We're going to go ahead and go down to it in the planet. You can see the actual speed of the rotation of the planet as you're like standing on this
Which they sped up so you could see it.
Well, yeah. But I mean, obviously, but still, I mean, that's really cool. I mean, for any of you like myself who had purchased No Man's Sky or whatnot, that
big fat lie.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that they had said that the planets rotate around stars and their day and nights, but it's not just a box. And this lie. But anyway, so I think to see this, this is maybe just me thinking, but they're showing this to like say, hey, look, we're telling the truth here. This is actually happening, because that was a big thing for No Man's Sky. People were talking about rotating planets, and I don't know.
And they simulated every single atom in the atmosphere so that it would be green.
This is terrible.
I will never not make fun of that game.
Yeah, I know. Then they showed, of course, you could see in some scenes that the clouds were actually casting shadows on the ground. And a lot of people were really excited about that. And actually, that's kind of cool, though. I mean, I don't know. It's a certain level of depth and immersion when a cloud is overhead that it does actually cast a shadow on the land. I think it's just the little details like that to me that just really add into the game, really just kind of make it feel like you're not just some...
You're not sitting in a skybox.
Yeah, or just not sitting in some sort of just immersion is about forgetting that you're playing the game. You know what I mean? Saying it to a degree. It's like you're in the game, and that's part of that's when we all have lives. We all go out and do terrible jobs and things we don't like. Well, some of us have jobs we like, but the thing is that we all go out and do things, and we take out some time to ourselves. We come down, we sit down and play a game. We want to be as far from the real world as possible for a little while, and that's why the more immersive to me, the better. Now, the big one that they showed on here to me was the object containers. Now, this to me explained so much, at least from a visual standpoint. That they show the planet as this big box around it, and they zoom in, you see more and more boxes, all the way down to the ground. Now, that's to load up like trees, to load up all these different things that are going to be within your visual range. But it also, to me, explains something else. The network code, as you know, the 3.0 network code, they talk about how things that are within inside your container, if you will, same way, it'll transmit that. You can see those items, and as it gets further and further, you can see up to a certain distance objects, and past a certain point, you can't see it. So I look at this, I see the network code tied into this, very specifically, like, hey, you can't see any more than 3 boxes when you're on the ground of the scale or whatever. And outside of that, the game won't transmit someone knocking over a cup in Port Olisar, so that basically we'll have faster netcode. If it's not in your box, if it's not in one of those tagged boxes, you don't know about it, it doesn't affect you, the game's not transmitting it to you. Faster frame rates, better game.
You're not choked down by network traffic.
Yes. And to me, when I saw that visual representation, to me, that really kind of laid out exactly how, in a sense, how this instancing is going to work. And I mean, a lot of people ask, like, what if you have, like, in Idris, a couple Idrises in an area? Well, that's going to be over the player cap. Well, not necessarily. See, if you're outside the ship and you're looking at 2 Idrises, there's no reason for the game with proper network coding to be telling you where everyone is on that ship. It doesn't matter to you.
Yeah, all I have to do is tell you that there's a ship there.
Right. It's a single entity. The guns are pointed this way. It's firing or it's not firing. It's a single entity. It doesn't really need to have all that data. Now, as you get closer, maybe you can start seeing the people in the turrets, or maybe you can see people on the bridge if you get that close with another box. And
but if you're on top of the bridge, I mean, there's something else going on there.
Yeah. But, then you get to a certain point, and then you go inside the ship, and now you're not dealing with a lot of the details of the once again of the outside of the ship, because you're in the cafeteria of the Idris. It doesn't really matter what's going on, so the game's not giving you that information. So yeah, to me that made a lot of sense. That was really nice visual representation. I've watched it a few times. They showed another nice clip, a couple clips. They showed and around the verse station, they reversed the verse with another representation, which I think was a little bit better. And to me, yeah, I think this answered a lot. I'm a visual person. I've always drawn, painted, those kind of things, and to me, seeing this in motion explained a lot to me, and I think that really, really was just excellent. There were some questions, of course, about the planet's water. They did show a little bit more closer detail in the water, but some people had asked.
And it looks amazing.
It does.
But you can't go underneath it, or you can, but there's there's nothing there.
Right. There's currently no. As far as I know, there's no fish other than there maybe our fish tanks in our hangars. Maybe there's lots of crabs. I don't know. But
giant enemy crabs.
Giant enemy crabs. So the thing is that it's basically got the default engine's water system. So it basically, you can probably swim if the players have that buoyancy factored in. Ships currently don't have any sort of buoyancy programmed in, and it makes me think when they had some of the concept art, you take a callback to the Banu Merchantman, and they showed it actually lifting off from the water. Now, we don't know a lot about these alien races yet, but it makes me wonder if Banu ships are aquatic in nature, if they have underwater cities. I mean, I'm not looking for a Jar Jar experience or anything like that, but Misa don't want that. So the thing is that...
Hey, if they make, USS New Jersey Space Star Citizen Edition, and it's a Banu ship, I'm sold. I will fly nothing but Banu ships because I love ocean.
Yeah, I mean, but so if Banu have ships that are aquatic, and that gets factored in, like they can go underwater, oh my gosh, that would just open up all sorts of different gameplay. So we'll have to see. But the only one that makes me even think that is the Merchantman, because of those concept arts that came out a while ago.
But a long time ago, like 2 years.
Yeah, and that was before we still haven't seen a finalized version of that yet. So I don't know. Who knows? Who knows?
They have so many ships that to work on.
But if they do factor in buoyancy and how ships interact with water, that opens up more layers of gameplay. Now, obviously, I don't want them to start working on this right now. Let's get the basic game going first and kind of go from there. But yeah, I mean, I see potential there just because of the CryEngine's ability to do really good water. And of course, they broke down and went into a little bit more details of the sandstorm, and it's actually... Excuse me there, I lost my voice there.
I heard that. I was wondering what was going on.
Yeah, it's like I think I swallowed a frog. So, anyway, so it actually, as you get closer to it, it actually undraws from your perspective, the actual the high detail clouds, and basically puts if you will, a fog layer with effects on there. Now, it's very interesting when they showed this, because I've been playing Armored Warfare. And they just introduced a new kind of a PvE PvP mixed combat, and it's in the desert. And at Phase 3, during this whole time you see a sandstorm rolling. It looks very similar to what you see on the planets in Star Citizen. And as it comes in Phase 3, the clouds wash over the field, and then they disappear. But you have once again, the fog effect and the wind and the particle effects, and your visibility gets cut in half. So to me, that was like, in a sense, not as high quality, because the storm doesn't look as good, but a little mini demo.
It's proof of concept.
Yeah, proof of concept in another game that's already doing something very similar and using the same engine.
Yeah. So less modified, but same core engine.
Same core engine. So it's very, very doable. And so yeah, I might throw some footage of that in here if I haven't already, just so you can see it. But basically. That was really cool. I saw that, like, is that thing going to come in? So I could, it even looks like they're doing they were talking about how the animation, that they have a system that they can slow down the animation or speed it up as fast as they want, and the system actually will fill in all the animation gaps so that it's completely smooth no matter what speed they choose. And it looked very similar to that whole thing, just I said not as detailed, not as nice of textures. Okay, next we're going to talk about the land effects, the effects on land when you say throw a grenade or a vehicle explodes or you're flying your Polaris and drop all your torpedoes on a nearby civilization,
Or you're mining.
Or you're mining. And they had brought up basically that if you were to throw grenades, for example, in one place and they would all hit the ground, you would have a hole, but eventually that hole is going to fill back up. But at the same time, they talked about how, like, and it was interesting they used this example of harvesting wood. And it was an interesting example to use because I'm like, why would I be harvesting wood? But I mean, maybe there is going to be a game mechanic for that. I don't know. But yeah,
I think the reason they brought it up is because that's the only like resource they have in the game right now. You know, a lot of people probably know about Minecraft and stuff. So, you need wood to build a house or something.
I was thinking Arcade when he said that. So,
Arcade, you should have been so great, yet you were so awful.
I know. There was a game with good water too, and that was also CryEngine.
Yeah.
So the thing is that on that one, they basically, if you were harvesting trees in an area continuously, you would end up, in a sense, deforesting the area. The trees would eventually slowly come back. But this reminds me also well of Eve. Now, every week, I think it's every week, or is it every 2 weeks? It's been a while. You harvest asteroids.
How it works is you have to completely mine a belt out completely, and then it's like 24 to 48 hours. The belt will be refreshed randomly with different ores. I think it's something like that. Yeah. No, I mean, you can be a super asshole and go into an asteroid belt and leave like the most garbage ore. And a lot of people that are just like warping through, like going, okay, well, what ore is here? What ore is here? And if it's just this garbage ore and it's like one rock, most people are like, one rock? I'm not going to mine this. And so they leave. And it doesn't refresh because it still has entities there.
Things to do with your Orion. Number 1 on the list. Be a mining asshole.
Leave one rock that is just stone. So people will warp in, and there's an asteroid field, and there's one rock, and it's all stone. There's no ore in it. They'll be like, "What the hell is going on?"
We're gonna make a mining company of just Orion miners who leave nothing but crap behind in the asteroid fields. That's gonna be awesome. No. Yeah, but yeah, something along those lines. Basically, resources renew, and that makes sense. I mean, I think it would be. I don't know how hard it would be to keep track of everything that's mined out, but I also think at the same time, for gameplay reasons, I can completely understand them doing that because I don't know. Would you really want to try to figure out?
Well, just think about Empyrean, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Empyrean is 100% persistent. So because there's two halves of the planet that are loaded in two separate entities. There's orbit that's separate. The moons are split in half, and when you mine something completely down, it's gone forever. So you're limited to how much stuff you can build as far as planetary stuff. Now, in Empyrean, there are meteorites that will fall that have random ore, and there's auto miners now, which I think are broken.
A little bit.
They don't take the ore out. They just go, oh, I'm next to an ore deposit. I mine this much ore per hour. So, yeah, I mean, you can't just have them 100% persistent, especially in a game that's going to have like up to 1 million people, maybe, if all the backers are playing at once. So, I mean, not everybody's going to mine, but still, you kind of have to plan for that. And so, I wouldn't be surprised by that. I think the hardest part would be as far as the planetary side, because that's more static than like an asteroid belt. You know, like there's a collection of asteroids over here that have broken off from a main asteroid belt, and you mine them all out, and then another random belt appears somewhere else, and that's easy to believe because there's space junk all the time. Maybe that wasn't scanned down, so someone just recently found it where before it may or may not have been there, and so you can kind of have the belief and disbelief of asteroids coming and going because of scanning or orbital mechanics and stuff. But with a planet, that stuff is just there. It's just on a planet.
Yeah. Like in my personal opinion is because and that's what, in relation to that, it makes more sense to refresh the asteroids. And if you think if I dug a hole out in the Earth, I mean, let's just face it, if you were to dig a hole in your yard, not fill it, it probably would not fill in by next week. But yeah, I mean, it all
eventually it would fill up just because of like dust and rain and stuff. But I mean,
6
Yeah,
months later, you're
you're
probably still
talking
looking at a
like
hole.
weeks, months, like maybe a year before it
Yeah.
actually filled back up.
Yeah. So I was just saying is that it would depend on their rate. They decide to have a return, back to the normal level, and that's fine. It's a game. You have to have a certain level of resources renewing, or things get really ugly. I could see eventually that it just turns into a Mad Max environment where everyone's out there like trying to kill each other and scavenge their ships.
It'd be interesting if there was a server that was set up just for that, where it has a preset limit of this is how much ore is in the world, this is how many ships are in the world, and then basically you just have to. I mean, it kind of turned into DayZ at that point, which may not be good at all. So I mean, never mind on that.
So they also talked about plans for procedural cities, which of course I think we all kind of understood was in the works, because there's no way that they can
handcraft all of that.
Yeah, I mean they want to do some sort of markers. Now probably procedural with artist driven, and they'll go in and tweak things as they need to. They were even when they were showing the planets this week on Around the Verse, they even one of the planets, just for a second, just for a moment, you could see that they were showing Italy.
I didn't see that. I'm sorry.
I did. I'll put the video here. So just for a moment, it's like there's Earth, and of course there's certain locations they said they want to do on Earth, and of course it's 900 years in the future, and humankind has left the planet so it wouldn't surprise me that Earth wouldn't be as crowded as it would be right now if they wanted to approach it that way. They could have like old New York and it's in shambles because only 20,000 people
that's
there.
An interesting setup that they could do. I mean, you could still have those like super mega cities, but you could literally take like one of those super mega cities, jumble it up a bit, place it somewhere else, and have it have zero population. Just have like animals and stuff walking around. Have a grass layer that's put over it, so it's just like this used to be a bustling metropolis, but because everybody's gone to space,
just pretend it's Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, what? No, I don't know what you're talking about.
And so off of all the planets and stuff like that, there's a lot of good stuff in there this week. I do recommend checking out Around the Verse, Reverse the Verse, and they also had the monthly subscriber town hall, and that was also just really, really good. Just really good stuff this week. I want to get to Squadron 42 real quick. A couple things they mentioned. One of the things I do really like is they said that basically most of Squadron 42 is going to be underneath player control with no forced cutscenes. So it sounds like they're just going to kind of make things happen around you, whether it's in space or it's on ground, and you're just going to have to, pay attention. Be more immersed into it. I think that's an interesting approach to it, because I think most of us play games that when some sort of critical story event happens, suddenly it's like,
around.
Yeah, you can just put the controller down and watch whatever's going to happen. Don't forget this month also as well. They're going to be having 18th. We're looking at having
this month, next month, right?
No, this month. It's now the 1st.
Oh yeah, you're right. I'm like, wait a minute, stupid October.
So basically, we're looking at the 18th is when we're having the anniversary. They're going to be doing an annual ship sale. There's probably going to be a lot of rare ships that are going to be coming on sale again. You might see all sorts of things like maybe the Phoenix. Please, the Phoenix, I want to upgrade that, and so on and so forth. And of course, they're revealing the Prowler. And they're having a contest right now with the Prowler. Like, if you're an artistic kind of person, you want to draw what you think the Prowler looks like, you could win some stuff. So I will go ahead and check that out in the forums. And if you're an artistic type, I'm a portrait artist, can never draw from things in my head, only what I see. So unfortunately, that's not my forte. And then the very last thing of note here is, as you know, I use two T16000M controllers. And a while ago, Thrustmaster announced that they were introducing the TWCS throttle, which is their answer to the HOTAS that goes with the T16000. Now, luckily, they did decide to let us buy the throttle as a standalone, since basically the only difference between the stick package, the stick is orange instead of green. And I've ordered one. It comes out actually today, and I should have it here in a few days. And after I get that, I'm going to play with it a little while, and I'm going to go ahead and make a video review and let you know what I think about it. So if you're looking at getting one of those and you want to know if it works well with Star Citizen, hey, just stay tuned. I'll let you know. All right, guys. Well, we will catch you next week. And as always, leave comments down below if you have any questions. And if something that does come up, and it's a little bit deeper, something we just can't answer in a simple text, we'll go ahead and add to the program next week and be sure to get to it. So, anyway, guys, thanks for listening. Catch you next time.
Bye-bye.
This week on the BlastCast, new camera tools for those content creators, what the Redeemer needs to get to a flyable state, some interesting community responses to the Polaris' loadout, and of course, another free fly week. Alright folks, let's get to it.